And hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Van and welcome to episode 2 of my new kind of review series where I'm going to review every pay-per-view from the black and gold era of NXT. From NXT Arrival to NXT 36. Obviously, last edition we talked about NXT Arrival. Obviously, you want to make sure you don't check out that video. The link will be in the description somewhere above you and in the description below. And obviously, if you want to make sure you don't miss any of more videos from myself, please like and subscribe. And obviously, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What you think of this? The first NXT TakeOver with the name TakeOver. I can't wait to talk about it because it's basically where it all properly began. Arrival was kind of a test. NXT TakeOver is where it properly began. Well, so let's dive straight into talking about NXT TakeOver. Let's go. So yes, let's talk about NXT TakeOver. Yes, this is the first NXT to be under the name TakeOver. Obviously, it was NXT Arrival, but obviously NXT TakeOver was kind of a situation of it all started here, and obviously I guess then they kind of saw the cool name of it and ran with it. Obviously, we know that basically NXT TakeOver was a staple of this era of NXT. Obviously, this one was a bit different because obviously it's come to the back of NXT Arrival. It was just they bigged it up much, but purely for the fact that obviously it was a couple of days, like 3 years before or after the WWE Network was being launched. So it's kind of their, staple of launching that network. That's kind of cool. But so they kind of put, it was kind of like more, eyes on that one. But this one obviously not so much because obviously it's a bit different back then, but basically it's because obviously, it's not as, it became a staple at this point. Obviously that was in February. We're now hitting May 2014 when this show came out. So it's a couple of months, but they've been solid on the WWE Network. So, and I remember back then it's like, we kind of didn't really watch the main shows, but I didn't watch the kind of like weekly shows, but I did watch like takeovers. Because I remember watching this one, as well as obviously the Fatal 4-Way one we're going to talk about next episode. But yeah, I remember watching all these early on back in the day. I was at uni at this point, so like kind of a thing that I was really looking forward to. But yeah, it was kind of a big deal. Obviously, the way they set up these shows now, early on anyway, with the staple was basically like they had 2 or 3 big matches. You kind of built towards that with 2 or 3 maybe matches sprinkled in between to kind of balance it out. Obviously, in the first one, it's kind of we all know that NXT Rival. The kind of big match was the women's match. Was it Emma versus Paige? Obviously, the main event was a ladder match with Bo Dallas versus was it Neville, and obviously was it Cesaro versus Sami Zayn in the opener. But in obviously NXT TakeOver, it's kind of similar in a way. Obviously, the big matches they were bigging up was number 1 contendership for the NXT Championship. Obviously, Tyler Breeze versus Sami Zayn. Obviously, we had due to obviously Paige. Was it going to Raw and obviously winning Raw on the WrestleMania after? Was it the Raw after WrestleMania? Obviously, Paige won the title, great moment against AJ Lee, but obviously had to vacate the Women's Championship. So this all led to a tournament that entered the Charlotte versus Natalya for the vacant NXT Women's Championship, and obviously the main event with Adrian Neville defending his NXT Championship against Tyson Kidd. That at that point was kind of like an interesting part of his career. But that's how it was kind of built up. Them 3 matches are the ones that built up. But that's how they did it early on. Obviously, I think they changed it when they started putting, obviously, the bigger stars that they signed. They changed it up a little bit. But this was kind of the mold early on in the first couple of takeovers or first couple of NXT special events type of thing. So it's kind of how it worked. But yeah. So without further ado, let's go and talk about the matches in general. Well, 5 matches on this card. We briefly talked about 3 of them, but there were 2 other matches that we're going to talk about just quickly. Obviously, the opening match of NXT TakeOver was Adam Rose versus Camacho, I think his name is, as we know him now as Tangaloa. This is back in the day when he was in NXT. Obviously, we know where he went and we know what he's doing now. Obviously, prior to recording this, he's now a 3rd member of this new Solo Sikoa Bloodline storyline. Obviously, we won't get into that in this video, but this is where he came from. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Obviously, this was kind of an enhancement match, a 5-minute enhancement match. Can't even say the word. We got Adam Rose, if you remember Adam Rose as well. Like, it was kind of big back then. It's like, because he was kind of like the party animal, the guy that was always partying. And obviously the one with the cool music really helped him as well, because it has that da 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 da. Whoa, like, and you can get into that. Wrestling's kind of like, if you can chant it, it's probably a good sign you're going to get over. It's one of the reasons why sometimes you get over, because your music's good. And Adam Rose's music was fun. And what's cool about Adam Rose was the idea that basically they had a lot of like stars you would know. You had Braun Strowman in that lineup. What was it? The Party Animals there. You had obviously, you can see Alexa Bliss sometimes I think was in there. You can see, what was it? Becky Lynch was in there. I'm probably missing out so many. They use a lot of the. Oh, Simon Gotch is in there if you see him, like the guy with the fez. I think that guy. It's kind of cool. But you can probably use so many wrestlers they use in the back. It's not unheard of. They always do it. When you need like background, like kind of characters, they use their own, and it's kind of cool. But yes, obviously that's kind of like what Adam Rose kind of remembered, that this is where you first saw the greats that we know now, like Becky Lynch and Braun Strowman and all that kind of stuff. But it was kind of cool back then, and yeah, I liked them. It's kind of crazy that the guy didn't really get the rub he deserved, really, because it would make, again, it's not crazy in the ring. But wrestling, you don't have to be amazing in the ring. If you have a cool character that connects with the audience, then usually, sometimes that's all you need, really, if you've got a basic understanding of wrestling. And this is what this match was. It wasn't anything special. I mean, it was like, most of the time it's Adam Rose just kind of playing games, having fun. But obviously Camacho, or Tungalo, if you want to go by what it's called, basically he was the kind of hard-hitting guy, the guy that's basically like a no-nonsense, kind of like from the street kind of guy that's just like, he doesn't like that Adam Rose doesn't take it seriously. He does, he takes it, usual stuff. Obviously, it kind of works as an enhancement guy, but it doesn't work as a character that can really get over. I can see why they probably released him, and it didn't really go anywhere in WWE. Where his career went and where it is now. But yeah, obviously had that kind of stuff. Obviously, this match was again 5 minutes. Ended with obviously Adam Rose winning, and by hitting the party foul. It's kind of just basically a basic move where you take your neck and you take your hand and slam it into the mat. It's the go-to move when you don't really have a finisher. I mean, LA Knight has a similar one. It's not the greatest finisher, but it's basically a simple finisher if you don't have one. Just saying, it doesn't. So that was a cool match. Obviously, we all know Adam Rose went on to just, mildly successful. Obviously, he was part of many other groups, but he never really hit heights that he did in NXT, but a lot of stars did back then. Because obviously, we all know how Vince treated NXT stars, so... but it was a cool match, Starfire gets the crowd hyped, it's cool. And obviously after that we had the first title match of the night of the event. Obviously it was the Ascension, defending their NXT Tag Team Championships against Kalisto and El Loco. Basically this was before obviously the Lucha Dragons, I think it's called, before they had obviously that started. Obviously I think they were trying to find someone to put Kalisto with, because obviously Kalisto is amazing. I mean, if you've watched him for the years, he's amazing. So, but El Loco, maybe not the best fit, but this was kind of, again, good solid match here. Nothing crazy going on. Obviously, at this point, kind of the Ascension is kind of this big kind of group that no one can stop. A lot of teams have tried, obviously, in the NXT rival. It was Too Cool Kane when they got destroyed by the Ascension. It's a good match, obviously, back and forth. Obviously, Kalisto looked good. Loco. It looks like it's back and forth, cool moves there, but it never really. You knew the Ascension were going to win this because it hasn't been built up at this point. So obviously, whoever wins it, it's going to be a big deal. Obviously, back then, and that's how if you've got a long title reign, it's got to be a big deal when the person beats you. So it's cool stuff like that. So, but obviously, it ended with obviously. Was it Victor pinning El Loco with a falling man? I still think it's a cool finisher with a guy at both of the corners. One goes clothesline, one sweeps the leg, and they both take him out. That I think's pretty cool. And yeah, obviously there's two tag team champions at this event. Obviously we know, as we put before, I think they lose the tag team titles in the next event. But Kalisto is going to be involved in that. So I can't wait to talk about that in the next event. But two tag team champions, I still think they had something here with the Ascension, but they didn't do anything with them, as always. They're always going to be remembered as the guys that got beaten up all the legends on that Raw one time, and obviously being a part of kind of the Fashion Files with Tyler Breeze and kind of felt Fandango. Cool stuff, but they could have been a really cool tag team. But Vince era wrestling, there's a lot of people that fell for the cracks. It kind of sucks. But talking about Tyler Breeze, kind of sets up quite nicely, is obviously the first kind of big match of this event. Obviously, it's Tyler Breeze going against, as we know, the big fan favorite of Sami Zayn in a number one contendership match for the NXT Championship. Oh, I forgot how good this match was. Oh my word! I remember watching this back in the day, is because basically back then it was like we all love Sami Zayn, right? Even now, like back then, he was kind of like the underdog of the underground. As again, as I said before, really cool stuff there. I mean, and then obviously Tyler Breeze is he's kind of got that kind of, he's kind of like a guy, wants to see, got the camera, he looks at himself, but it's based off like Zoolander, for the way he does the pose, and kind of Prince Pretty. But what I think this match kind of proved for a lot of people anyway, I mean, obviously the way they bigged up is like, yeah, he's all about how he looks, but good God, the guy can wrestle. My God, this match put me, like, the reason why we like Tyler Breeze was probably because of this match, to be fair. I mean, it's amazing. Like, the guy who basically has that kind of weird, he has that kind of like fast-paced style. Obviously, some of the moves, that the kicks he does. Obviously, he's got one of the prettiest, kicks, super kicks you can see, and obviously the beauty shot with the spinning, spinning kick that he does. It looks cool finisher. But this is kind of a match that kind of put him on the map, to be fair. And obviously, Sami Zayn has still got the story going in that he can't win the big one. He wants to win the NXT Championship. He can't win the big one. And obviously in this match that kind of was the case. But good God, there were some cool moves here. We had obviously early on, obviously we done that what we call kind of moonsault that Sami Zayn does onto the outside that looked pretty cool. Hit his head. We had this thing where Sami Zayn was in the corner and he was trying to fend off kind of Tyler Breeze, but he was able to lift him up and hit him with like a sit down power bomb. Really cool stuff there. All kinds of stuff. He had a he executed this supermodel kick on Sami Zayn that looked devastating for a near fall. But yeah, back and forth, great move. You had the high impact moves that you kind of expect, kind of like the moves that make you go wow type things. But yeah, it's just a great match. I think it showcased them both great. I loved both of it. I loved it. But what I like about this is the finish as well. The finish here was really good, because it's basically like Sami Zayn looks like he was getting the momentum, looks like he's going to hit the haluba kick, get the win. But I kind of like the idea that he went for the haluba kick, and then Tyler Breeze kind of like because he obviously doesn't want to damage his face, he holds up his hands like that. Obviously not like that, because that's obviously a thing, but defensive pose. Comes towards him, but because he hits a haluba kick, he accidentally low blows Sami Zayn. Obviously the ref said, "Did you intend that?" And he's like, "Well, I just put my arms up." And he's like, "Okay." And obviously while the distraction was going on, Tyler Breeze out hits the beauty shot and get the quick pin. But what I like about it is the idea, it was snap, just like that, came out of nowhere. Because normally you would say, "Well, that finish came out of nowhere." It's like, yeah, it did. But what I like about it is the idea that basically, like, he technically didn't win clean. Sami Zayn didn't beat him straight. Like, yeah, maybe he didn't intend to kind of give him a low blow, but he took the advantage of the distraction, or maybe the confusion what was going on, hit his finisher and gets the win. And he is the number one contender going to face the winner of the main event. Obviously we know where that goes, but we won't talk about that. But yeah, I mean, I just like it. It just had a good story. Yet again, Sami Zayn feels short. Tyler Breeze looks great. He came across, put him on the map here. The finish was a bit kind of not clean, so that means you can set up the Fatal 4-Way. It was a good story. It's really cool. I liked it. And yeah, I mean, I would say, was it the match of the night? I probably would say it's match of the show, or match I enjoyed the most. But there's two matches coming up that really, definitely put it up there. Like, it's really hard to really pick what one was the best. But yeah, obviously after that, there was a big segment with Rusev and Lana in the ring. This kind of hasn't aged well, because obviously back then Rusev was kind of coming across as the evil, kind of the cliche kind of evil Russian guy, coming here to he's Russian, he's better than everyone, and the usual, he's got the Russian flag. There's a funny thing because he's Bulgarian, so interesting thing there. That I always find with maybe people like Gunther, like he's basically saying, if you think he's German, but he's actually Austrian. But it's quite funny that kind of people, it just have that anyway, but it doesn't matter. But yes, obviously it kind of hasn't aged well. The bit when they got Vladimir Putin's face on the screen, it hasn't aged well. Obviously, if you know anything about international politics, it hasn't aged well. But obviously, as always, it's the evil foreigner with his flag. You know, who's going to defend our honor? And then obviously Mojo Rawley comes out with the American flag, and America's great and all that stuff. But what I like about the segment, sort of, is the way he comes in and he's like, I'm going to defend America, and then boom, Rusev just kicks him in the face, and everyone, I think Winnie Regal's reaction to it is like, well, if that's the best you got, I mean, it's like, I'm glad I'm British. It's like, I kind of like that. Winnie Regal commentary during this time was really good, really funny. I always loved that. Kicked him, basically destroyed him, kind of hit the Kuba clutch, done it on, was it when he was in the ring, then obviously he attacked him again when he was outside the ring, then he obviously done it on the stage. Basically, it's a whole segment to show that Rusev is a dominant kind of person, and basically like it's going to take something special to beat him. Obviously this was the start of his big run when obviously he went unbeaten, obviously won the US title, and then lost it at WrestleMania 31 to John Cena. But like that run from here to like there was, wow, it was amazing. Like no one could beat this guy. It was basically what he got the Gunther push before Gunther. You know, like that was his like kind of thing. Like everyone was so close to beating him, but no one could. Obviously now it'd be something like Sami Zayn. Back then it was John Cena, because everyone was fed to John Cena back then. But yeah, we'll see. So Rusev, we all know where it went, but yeah, it was just it hasn't aged well, this segment, because it's the oldest thing in wrestling where you defend your country. He's the evil foreigner. He's the American that's going to save the day. It's very 80s. But it kind of works because obviously you can do play on those things, but yeah, it hasn't aged well. Let's be honest. But obviously, let's talk about some more positive stuff. The NXT Women's Championship, or the vacant NXT Women's Championship. Obviously, this was kind of all done after obviously Paige had to relinquish her NXT Women's Championship. She had the longest reign at that point. Obviously, she was the first, but yeah. But so she had to relinquish it because obviously she won the Divas Championship against AJ Lee on the Raw after WrestleMania. Big moment. Obviously, they made a film out of it. It's a cool moment. So she had to relinquish it, and then had to do a tournament to find a new women's champion. And obviously, the final two were Charlotte and Natalya. But the way they were pushing this is kind of like they're kind of legacy wrestlers trying to build their own legacy and their own kind of build. Because obviously Charlotte is the daughter of Ric Flair, and obviously Natalya is obviously her. Was it Neidhart? Was it Neidhart from the Hart Foundation? But obviously her uncle is Bret Hart, basically. So it's kind of got legacy kind of attached to it. But what I like about it is it didn't interrupt. Normally they would have this thing where it's like they kind of big it up as like, they're trying to build their own stuff, basically. Who's going to build their legacy? Is it going to be Natalya or is it going to be Charlotte? But yeah, I mean, so that was kind of thing. Obviously Ric Flair and Bret Hart came down to the ring and accompanied each, Natalya and Charlotte. Obviously what I liked about this match is they didn't get involved at all. That's kind of because if it was like on the main show, it would have been a situation of there would have been a point where I don't know, was it Bret Hart would have sucker punched Ric Flair would have sucker punched him, and it would have been all about them. But it wasn't. It was just about supporting these two women and kind of hoping who's going to win. And it was a very technically good match. It wasn't necessarily like high hitting, but it was like high fly. But it was like a lot of the kind of technical stuff. Because obviously they're both submission experts coming from that kind of stuff. So we had cool stuff like that. We had obviously Natalya hitting the sharpshooter on Charlotte, and obviously Charlotte locking in the figure 4 leg lock. It was really cool. I kind of like the idea. Basically, that they had a thing later on where they both really had locked in, but they kept going back and forth between, back and forth of like who had it locked. So obviously Charlotte had it locked, and then obviously Natalya twisted it around. Then Charlotte turned it back, and then it was kind of like they both know that move very well because obviously the history between Bret Hart and you know what I mean. Obviously there were cool matches that had cool stuff like that. But yeah, also you had this thing early on as well when Natalya was like kind of Charlotte attacked, pushed her, Natalya off the apron, and obviously worked on that leg. That in the end kind of worked in her favour, I think. But yeah, so obviously we had that. We had both people putting on each other's finishers. Obviously we had Natalya locking in the figure 4 leg lock, and obviously Charlotte was locking in the obviously the sharpshooter. It was kind of a nice little kind of back and forth. I always like it when people lock each other's moves, because it kind of proves like, can you beat them with the one move? It's kind of the ultimate insult. But yeah, obviously it kind of ended with Charlotte having to hit the natural selection after just getting out. I think it was a sharpshooter or submission move. Just about was able to saw an opportunity, hit the natural selection, and won and become the new NXT Women's Champion. We all know where this went. We all know how great Charlotte became. Obviously, we all have our criticisms of Charlotte, obviously, because the whole situation of she's always in title matches. But no one can deny that she's amazing in the ring. Obviously, she's early on in her career at this point. We all know how great she became. Obviously, it'd be interesting to see when she finally comes back. I think she's injured when we're recording this. But yeah, great match. I like the kind of like camaraderie at the end. Obviously, Charlotte and Natalya were, it's a big moment. It's a big moment in women's wrestling, or WWE anyway. And obviously, I like, was it Bret Hart and Ric Flair kind of having a moment. It was just really fun. It was really cool. Obviously, we know where Charlotte went. Natalya, another example of how good Natalya could have been if she was part of a different era. Like, imagine if she was a part of the era now, or coming up now. Oh my God, she would have been so much big. Like, the problem is she was a proper wrestler in a time when Divas was all about looks and wasn't given TV time. She was amazing technical ability in the ring, and it upsets me now because obviously she's still in WWE, but with how big women's wrestling is right now, like I could see her going to going to Japan or going to other wrestling promotions where women's division is really good. She's absolutely killing it. She's got the name value. She's amazing in the ring. It's just sad that she's a part of a company at the worst possible time. Yeah, obviously she won the Divas Championship, but it's never really felt like she got her a run. Sometimes I wish that NXT was like WWE was like this in NXT back in the day, but it's just sad because obviously it proves that you can become great if you just booked right sometimes. And this was the case here, and it kind of sucked that she never really got her potential. She always remembered as kind of like the person that always puts somebody else over, but she never really properly had her moment to shine. It's kind of sad. But yeah, so it's kind of sad. But yeah, I mean, great match here. Really good. Obviously, this is kind of the style they were going to go in for. That kind of, we all know where it went. It all kind of like, maybe the Paige and Emma was a good match, but this one kind of proved that this is the style they're going for. It wasn't about, silliness and jealousy. It was about who was the better woman, who's going to cement their new legacy, and who's going to win this title. And it's just looking good, and I loved it. So, great match here. And it kind of sets up to the next match and the main event, and that is Adrian Neville defending his NXT Championship against Tyson Kidd. We can't put across how good Tyson Kidd was back here. Obviously, we're talking about Natalya. Obviously, you're not having a moment. Tyson Kidd is basically, I don't know if it's a weird thing to acknowledge, but he's basically the Lance Storm of our generation. Like, maybe not in the sense of but he's another example of a guy that's amazing in the ring, but his character wasn't on point. Never had that point of showing his character. And what this match proved to show that, I think this is why I become a Tyson Kidd fan, to be fair, was this match and maybe the match in next pay-per-view. But this was the match that made me think, oh my God, Tyson Kidd's good. He's really good. And obviously sets up the kind of story that basically is like, he needs to win this to try to reach, start his career again. And obviously you're going against an Adrian Neville that's obviously still kind of proving himself. Obviously he's had that title for a couple of months now after arrival, and obviously he's had big defences against Brodus Clay and obviously other, at the time, but he rarely had like big title defences, but this was like the big one. So who's going to win here? But like, you would think on paper it doesn't seem like a fun match, because obviously Neville was high flyer, he's kind of, but Tyson Kidd's more ground and pound, but kind of is a high flyer. He's a very strange kind of style, Tyson Kidd. That's why I think I kind of love Tyson Kidd as well. But yes, obviously this match was very counter on counter. I kind of like the one, I think there was a bit early on where basically Adrian Neville was trying to do a springboard off second rope, and basically was it as a Kidd kind of went up and hit like a Russian leg sweep or kind of like onto the ground. Looked really good there. We had high fly moves here. We had obviously Tyson Kidd, hitting performing a kind of springboard kind of blockbuster. It looked really freaking cool. All kinds of stuff there. We obviously had Kidd playing the sharpshooter. But I kind of like but this is really cool. It shows what the kind of submission expert he is, and really loved it. Tyson Kidd's amazing. It was where he put the sharpshooter, then he translated it into like kind of a dragon lock, where basically it's like his legs around the back of the neck. It looks freaking horrible, and that's why I feel like it's a freaking horrible move. But I kind of like the idea that basically, like, it really weared him out. Was it Neville and that kind of stuff? But it's just a really cool move, and I think it was kind of you went in it knowing that kind of Neville was going to win it, because back then people from the main roster didn't win titles. Obviously now it kind of is up and down, but no, NXT, no, it's just about they came in to enhance the new guys, and this is another match there. But it made me become a Tyson Kidd fan, and made me think, again, another time, another era. It could have been huge. Technical, put it now, if you went to someone against Danny Bryan or Bryan Danielson, who went to NXT, AEW with the kind of technical style they have, he would thrive. I think he'd be. Yeah, I think he needs. If he went to a company that's like pure wrestling background, the guy would be huge. Trust me, he would be. But yes, obviously he got the win, but he wasn't able to win here. AJ Neville was able to, able to hit this really cool kind of segment. Basically, he tried. I think it was Tyson Kidd kept going to the top rope, and he tried to hit I don't know what move he was trying to go for, but obviously, Neville was able to go up there, hit a kind of super Hamilton Rana. Obviously, it looked amazing. The speed of Neville, and went up the top and hit a red arrow on Tyson Kidd to retain the title. But this wasn't the end of it. They're kind of like the end of it. Obviously, Neville had won the title, he successfully defended his title, all that kind of cool stuff. But then, obviously, at the end of it, you can see kind of Tyson Kidd's kind of face of dejection, kind of, this is it, this is my final shot. And obviously, Neville being the sportsman and the face at this point was shake your hand, you've done great. But then, because obviously Tyson Kidd is where he feels, he shoves him out of the way and walks off. And kind of, well, we're all set up and we know where this is going. So obviously we've got the next pay-per-view of Fatal 4-Way, and he was involved in it. But I kind of like the story, it's he didn't win. That was a big thing, so he's frustrated. And great end to the show, and a very good show here. I liked it. Everything was pretty decent. And so I guess let's go and dive straight in to my final thoughts on it, and kind of I also found out where we're going to put it on our little list of okay, good, great, on my little list that I've put together. So let's go and dive straight into that, and let's see where it lands. Let's go. Let's wrap up my final thoughts on my review of NXT TakeOver. Obviously, this is a show that's basically going to be known for probably 2 matches. No offense to the main event, but probably the 2 matches going to be remembered for Charlotte versus Natalya and Tyler Breeze versus Sami Zayn. But yes, overall, again, I'm really happy. I enjoyed this show a lot. Again, if you go from where they're going to go and where they become, this is again another solid, very good show. Obviously, the opening of Adam Page versus Camacho, again, simple match, handsome match. Adam Wells gets the win. Everyone's happy. Good match there. 5 minutes, not harming anyone. Obviously, the Ascension and defending the tag team title, still building them up. Obviously, we know where that's going, but that was a good match as well. Obviously, you didn't think they're going to lose, but it was a good match overall. The number one contendership for the NXT Championship, Tyler Breeze, Sami Zayn. Love the moveset, love the back and forth, love that it made Tyler Breeze put him on the map. Enhances the story of obviously the underdog of Sami Zayn. Like the finish because it wasn't particularly clean, so it means it could set up a rematch at some point. Obviously, we all know where it went, so obviously that was cool. So, probably would say my match of the card personally, because I just loved it so much. Then he obviously had the Charlotte versus Natalya. Again, very good match, very kind of showcases the style that NXT is going to kind of put across. Obviously, maybe the opening NXT rival was good, a good match, but I think this is the match that really is going to show. It's really the kind of style that we're going to be known for the women's division in NXT. Obviously, Charlotte winning made sense there, and obviously Natalya. Still think it would be nice to have a run, where she's actually being appreciated. Would have been nice, but that's wrestling. Sometimes it's not fair, but that's the way it is. But so it was a good match here, and obviously the main event was really fun. There's basically 2 different styles, but not so much. The big moves, the good submission moves, and obviously Neville winning in the way he did was kind of cool as well. And obviously Tyson Kidd kind of at the end, the kind of disrespect kind of sets up the obviously next pay-per-view quite nicely, as you know where that's going to go as well. So, but yes, obviously we've all talked about it briefly. So what the question is, where is this going to be put on my little tier list? Obviously, if you watched the first episode, obviously, it's kind of an idea that came off the fly, so that's why in the video it kind of comes across as I kind of just flipped on it. This one, because I thought it'd be a cool idea, and obviously I think it still is a cool idea. So obviously, if you watched episode 1, you know that basically on the first tier, we kind of put it, let's have a look. So yes, obviously on the first tier we put obviously NXT Arrival on good. So obviously in this one we've got great, we've got good, we've got alright, just about bearable, and get in the bin basically means absolutely terrible. Obviously I don't see any of the NXT takeovers being in any of these ones, not the red and black and gold anyway. So obviously Arrival was good. So the question is, where would NXT TakeOver, as you can see right there, that's where NXT TakeOver is, where would it go? That's the question. As I said before, we enjoyed all the matches. Obviously I would say it's on good. Is it great? No. I mean, I could be a bit harsh and put it's alright, because obviously I think Arrival's probably a little bit better, probably for the fact of what it's going for, and it's obviously it started everything, so, but maybe TakeOver's a bit better. I'm not quite sure. I mean, I think I'm going to put it in good, because I think it is a good show. I think it maybe was a bit better than Arrival, because obviously it felt like the format's been kind of better put together than obviously in this one, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's like when you look back at kind of takeovers and you know how good they're going to become, so if you put it by that, there was like, oh, this is all right. It's actually really good. It's another solid show that sets up the kind of quality that we're going to get later on, and that's why I think it's really good. So put it on the good here. You know, it's a good one here. So yeah, so it's obviously on the good tier. I mean, I don't see any of the takeovers being on all right, but obviously looking back, hindsight's a beautiful thing. So maybe I might watch some takeovers and think, wow, that one sucked, or that was all right, but I don't see it. But yes, so obviously in this takeover, we're going to put as on this tier list as just good. It's a good show, and I think I would recommend kind of watching it. So yeah, so let's wrap this up. So obviously this will be my view of NXT TakeOver. Obviously I hope you've enjoyed this series so far. Please like and subscribe if you want to get more of this new series of me talking about all the NXT TakeOvers. Really cool stuff here. Yes, obviously next one we're going to talk about NXT Fatal 4-Way. Obviously we know what, I can give you a clue what the main event's going to be. I can probably give you a clue, it gives it away in the name. So I can't wait to talk about that. Obviously make sure you keep an eye, because obviously I've got, obviously as well as I'm reviewing kind of past kind of pay-per-views, I'm obviously doing reviews. Obviously if you haven't checked it out already, obviously I've done, was it NXT WWE Backlash France, done a review on that, obviously, and NAEW Dynasty as well, so obviously expect more reviews on that kind of. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of that stuff as well. So without further ado, my name's been Stuart Irvine, and hope you enjoyed my videos, and I'll be back with another review of NXT takeovers. Can't wait to talk about the next one. It's going to be good. Cannot wait to see you all there. Have a good rest of your day. So bye everyone. Bye bye.